Love, light, and blessings. Shamanic at Work Priestess here. And I wanted to make this video from the perspective of my reading altar because I wanted to share with you my 2020 top. I'm going to do two parts to this video. So there's going to be an Oracle cards version and a Tarot cards version, okay? And simply what I'm doing here is doing my top 10 with an honorable mention. Okay, and these are my top 10 working tarot cards. Some are OGs and some are newly added to my collection, but these are the decks that I used the most. Okay, and I'm gonna try to put it in some type of order, but I cannot guarantee that. But I love watching everyone's top 10, top 13, top 15. And I noticed that even with me reading professionally for the last 8 years, my top 5s, 10s, and 7s tend to change sometimes. Some decks always are there. And then there's some decks that for some reason, after some years of working with them, they no longer speak to me. But I have a sentimental attachment to them, so I keep them in my collection. That's something new that I learned to do because I used to make the mistake of giving them away or rehoming them and things like that, and then end up buying the deck later on because then all of a sudden, years later, that same deck that stopped speaking to me would speak to me. Okay, so now the only decks that I get rid of now, the ones that I know I definitely would never connect with. Okay, ones that I never did connect with, and I just know for some reason I'm just not going to be connecting with them. So I have a little stand here because I'm going to put the cards upright so you guys can see. I just want you guys to see what my top 11 decks of 2020 are. I'm going to say top 11 because even though I was going to do top 10, I'm just going to count all of them instead of saying an honorable mention because all these decks are sentimental to me. I did a lot of professional readings with them. So these are only the ones that I do professional readings with. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to start with one of my OGs. Okay, when I first started reading and doing divination, which I've been doing for over 15 years, I started with cartomancy. So regular plain cards, you know, the regular plain cards you can buy at your local Dollar Tree or, you know, those kinds of things. And that spoke to me for many, many years until I got a professional reading from a woman who used Rider-Waite-Smith decks. Okay, but I had an aversion to the devil card and things like that. And I also didn't know at the time that I got my professional reading that Rider-Waite-Smith had various additions, that it had various additions to it. So basically, I just thought it was just one deck. I didn't know that Rider-Waite-Smith had a bunch of different additions to it. And so I just bought one that I saw on Amazon. And it was the, when I finally got into Rider-Waite-Smith, it was the Radiant Rider. And I didn't like it. I tried it wasn't the one that the reader read with me with, so I was disappointed. And I didn't know, like, I never had a reader that like showed you all the cards or you see like a spread or anything like that, so I don't read like that either. And I don't take pictures of my readings or anything like that. You know, I'm used to kind of like the old school types of readings that you don't do that outside of YouTube and things like that. So I got it in home reading before, and I had an reading on a psychic hotline where it's a live stream the way that I read, feed and things like that, and we just did not focus on the cards. We just basically listened to what the person was saying or whatever. So finally figured out that the deck that I wanted was the Universal Weight. So when I started using the Universal Weight, that began my love affair with the RWS. I remember after I bought the Universal, I had bought the plaid backs, and I hated them so much. I tried to edge them, and I just did not like it. I just love the universal weight, and I used it for many, many years. I think I ended up buying like 3 different copies of it because of, how beat up it was when I was doing my professional readings and things like that. But eventually, the plaid backs have become my new favorite version of RWS. Especially when they did this newer version where it has her original handwriting back, Pamela Coleman Smith's original handwriting back. So I ended up falling in love with this deck, and I'm super excited. I also ended up buying a copy from Mary Faroon's 1980s plaid backs, and I love them, but those I use sparingly and I baby them because I don't want to ruin them. Those are not as easy to get. So I love that US Games kind of made a, newer version to that deck with the original coloring, but now it has her handwriting on it, and I love it. So this has become, it used to be the original Rider-Waite that was my favorite outside of the universal weight, and never liked really the Centennial. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people love it, but I ended up now just really being in love with this plaid backs. I love it. These are the backs. There's just something about them, and they're bowed, so it's hard to. So these are what the backs look like, and I love this deck, and I use it for professional readings all the time. I know a lot of people are not. Don't particularly always love RWS, but I really, really do. This was actually after, so when I found out that the RWS had the double card, we talked about that. There were other decks that I used outside of cartomancy when I wanted to get into tarot. That was the Angel Tarot, which I don't have anymore. And this deck I purchased on the same. It was this deck, Doreen Virtue's Angel Tarot, and the Romance Angels. Those are the first OG decks that I ever owned when I started working for the hotlines, and I love this deck from day one. This became the tarot deck that I read clients exclusively with, accompanying my Romance Angel Oracle, and then eventually I bought the Daily Guidance Oracle from Doreen Virtue. So I was a huge Doreen Virtue purchaser. Not even going to, not even going to deny that. So her deck spoke to me. So, and I loved her decks and things like that. Like her decks just spoke to me, and I love having them. They gave me really great client reads. I mean, they just did. So, and I remember the first time I ever read on the psychic hotline, I was so nervous, but I pulled out this OG and the reading went well. They gave me a 5-star review. Knock on wood, I did not receive any negative reviews of my readings on that hotline that I worked for 3 years. Please, if you know what it is, do not mention it on the comments below for legal reasons. We're not allowed to advertise ourselves outside the psychic hotlines, and I no longer work with them. So I've since gone into my own personal business. But I'm sorry, I worked with them for 4 years. My apologies. I worked with them for 4 years, and now it'll be the 4th year of me going into business for myself. So I've been reading professionally for 8 years. So yeah, so I love this. I love this deck because it's what really got me, other than watching Carmen A. Scheid talking about chakras. This deck is so chakra-y. Like, it has the borders, which a lot of people cut off, and I don't understand why. I love that this represents the root chakra, and it has to do with finances. That the heart chakra represents the cups, and things like that. Not everybody learns tarot on traditional decks, you know what I mean? And this deck just happened to speak to me on such a deep level. And I used to use the Angel Tarot a lot for myself, to read myself and things of that nature. So I remember getting rid of this deck because I wasn't really using it anymore. And then I think it was last year or the year before, I felt drawn to want to use it again. And now I use it more as an oracle deck and things like that. But I love this deck. I feel like this is the type of oracle decks that I like, that are an infusion of tarot oracle, that you can do so many different types of readings with it. I've just never gotten along with affirmation decks, and things like that. Because I never considered Doreen Virtual's decks, affirmation decks, to be honest. I had my own way of reading her decks. If the cards will be in reverse, it will be the opposite of what the positive message was. So I had my own way of reading her decks, and I did like them for like a one card pull, to end reading and things like that. I no longer really use her decks anymore, but you know, when I was first starting out and everything. And this is the Psychic tarot. These are the beautiful backs. I like this deck. Some people don't. I just, again, never understood why people would cut off the borders. I feel like the border makes the deck, because each suit corresponds with a chakra. And I love this deck because it just is an overall, just gives me everything that I want, you know. This deck continues to be my soul deck. But the same thing that happened with the Psychic Oracle of the Psychic Oracle is happening with this one. I repurchased a newer copy because the original copy was really, it was in bad condition. And I just find that I'm not drawn to work with it. It's not that I can't read with it. It is still a soul deck. This deck helped me to transition from less traditional types of Rider-Waite-Smith to actually owning a universal weight, like I said previously, and plaid bags and the radiant and all that kind of stuff. But before I actually went into RWS at all, I was trying to find decks that didn't have scary devil cards in it. I don't know, the devil card and the Rider-Waite-Smith scared me at the time, and things like that. So this deck just speaks. I don't know. I understand the messages. This deck really is something that I read psychically. It's something that, it doesn't matter what the book says. Like, this just spoke to me on such a deeper level. Like, look at the Five of Pentacles. He's just going through dire financial crises. Even though there's money right there, he's not even seeing it, you know. Because the Five of Pentacles is also, to me, someone who's suffering from depression. They're not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Even though he's being shaded from the rain, you see there's money there. He could just grab it. He's not seeing that because he's so lost in his sadness. You see the lightning, you know. It's just all these emotions, you know. And we feel like that. Like, all human beings feel like that sometimes, that just when it rains it pours and there's no way out, and things like that. I love this devil card. Like, this card helped me to understand the devil card, and things of that nature. Like, I love the roses with the thorns and how it's cutting them, but she's so ensued with passion, this burning passion. It's like she's being burned by her own desire. She is her own devil. She is, you know, because we have free will. So she's being entrapped here and choosing to stay entrapped there, choosing to stay under this falsehood and all that. So, like, I love this devil card. Love this lovers card. Completely love it, and things like that. So this will forever be a soul deck for me. I'm not getting rid of it, because I know maybe in 2021 I'll be using this deck again. You know, even if it's a year or two from now, maybe someday this deck will speak to me again and I'll be drawn to use it again. But whether I ever use this deck or not, it will always be an OG. It will always be a soul deck, because it is what got me into this passion that I have for studying and learning tarot and using it, and things like that. So like I said, after like the second year of just reading with one deck exclusively, I finally felt it was time to just basically move in a different direction and start using different tools to read with. Another deck that I want to show you guys, okay? This deck is also considered an OG. like the last three that I showed you guys. But we've had a tumultuous relationship. We've had our ups and downs, okay? And it's, oh, I didn't show you the back, sorry. This is the backs of the Wheel of the Year. I love, okay? This deck, we have a complicated relationship. Everybody that I've ever read with are like, oh my God, when I do show a card here and there, like, oh, it's beautiful, the colors. And a lot of people swear by Morgan Greer. I have an original version, so I did use it for a while, and then it kind of stopped speaking to me. And that happens with Morgan Greer for me. It's like it's a moody deck. Like I'll stop being drawn for it forever, and then all of a sudden I want to use it again, that kind of thing. But it's not a deck that I've ever used as much as my other OGs. It's kind of a deck that to me is temperamental and is seasonal. Like for some reason, I'm more drawn to this deck in autumn, Halloween time, that type of situation, and sometimes in summer. So I might use this deck once, like maybe 1 month of the year, maybe two, kind of thing, but not as heavily as I use my other decks, where like when I put them away and I'm doing a different rotation, I actually miss them. Not so much. This is my second copy because my first copy was pretty beat up. I had it for so many years. It's one of my oldest decks actually that I own. And again, I do love it. It's just that I don't know. Like it's a deck that I have to be in the mood to read with the Morgan Greer. I don't know how else to say it. It's nothing bad about the deck. It's just I have to be in the mood to read this deck. Point blank, period. So, yeah. But I do use it for personal readings and things like that. I love the backs. It's borderless. It's beautiful. Even though to me, honestly, borders don't bother me. They tend to bother other people. Doesn't really bother me like that. They don't really bother me like that. Now, I have an OG, so RWS is a forever, right? This deck I got before the RWS as well. So I had the Wheel of the Year, the Psychic Tarot, Morgan Greer, these decks before I ever bought a RWS, again, because I found out about the Devil card. This deck, okay, this gorgeousness is your Hanson Roberts. Now, this is a forever for me. This deck, I dreamed of it, just like I dreamt of the Wheel of the Year to use it. I had a dream that the box it came with kind of disintegrated, and I started using it. So if I dream of a deck, I start using it. And again, the Wheel of the Year just spoke to me. I remember when I first got it, it did it, but it all of a sudden after that dream, it did. Like something clicked. And even though I'm not drawn to it like that, I noticed for the second half of the year, I'm still going to keep it in my collection because it might change next year. So Hanson Roberts is one that's always talked to me. This deck, since I've gotten it, I've had it for years, okay, guys, 4 years, okay, not 4 years, like 4 years. During that second year where I went into deck buying craze, okay. That second year, I just went into deck buying craze, and this deck is always in my top 10 since I've had it. Like, it's an OG. It just speaks to me. I love the artwork, and things like that. I love the way that the wands are drawn. I love the size of this deck. You can pull so many cards and they fit. This is a new copy. That's why it looks so brand new, because my other copy was really bad. I thought by edging it, I could fix it. No. It had chips and chunks and missing pieces and a broken card that I taped together. And I was like, all right, it's kind of becoming so worn it can't even be shuffled. And when I edged the deck, it ended up bleeding on the sides. And I cannot stand when a deck bleeds from the sides. And I get like the ink in my hand. That is so gross to me. Like, I don't like that. I think that's why I'm not an edger, because I noticed a few times I've edged decks, it bleeds. Okay, it will either bleed into the cards and I have to fix the cards, or it'll bleed on my hands. Same thing about trimming. Like, I'm not a trimmer. I like to leave decks how they come. There are a few exceptions, maybe 2 decks that I've actually edged that I actually liked and they needed it. So I guess case by case basis for me. I love this Lovers card, even though someone that I was watching a review of was like, he looks depressed. But you know, the Lovers card is also about healing, you know, Archangel Raphael. So it's also about healing, right? So I can see the healing message in this card as well. She's healing him through her love. So I don't know. That's how I see that. So I like his face. Um, I just love the color pencil. I guess that's she colored in the universal weight, so it has the same kind of coloring in it. And like I said, I love it. I love the universal weight, but I'm just like in love with the plaid backs. If I had to choose one RWS that I could work with for this time, for right now, for 2020, I've been using the hell out of the plaid backs. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those are the top 5 OGs that I've been using throughout the years, and that kind of stuff that I'm going to continue to use, with the exception of Morgan Greer and the Will of the Year. I think I'm going to put those to rest for a while and wait till I'm drawn to work with them. But the other 3, the plaid backs, the Psychic Oracle, Psychic Tarot, and the Morgan Greer are going to stay in my work rotation. I also want to talk about decks that I use to read for myself, and these decks I read with them when I'm called to them. So these don't have a rotation. These are specific work decks that if I feel for some reason energetically I need to pull from this decks, I have them on standby. I do. This is the Miss Cleo Power Pack deck, and this deck, oh my god, like I always said, this is my haunted deck because I feel like legitimately Miss Cleo spirit or somebody's spirit is speaking to through this deck, because oh my goodness, like every time I use this deck is why I use it sparingly. It's too much sometimes, because then, you know, grandma, grandpa, somebody's coming through. And you know, when I've read with this deck, like it's made me and the clients cry. So I only use this deck for specialized readings. Like I said, when I feel drawn to use it and specialized readings, I also use it for myself. It is a yes, no, blunt as hell. This is what it is. Deal with it. I don't care type of deck. And I'm for that every day, all day. So this deck speaks to me in a beautiful, deep spiritual level. I love the backs of this deck. I got this deck for $3 at the time. I don't think that's that price anymore, but yeah. And I don't know. I love the deck. That's all I have to say about that. Okay, and then this one also is an occasional deck that I use, but it's still a working deck for me. I use this mostly on myself or when I'm doing any type of energetic reading or past lives, just like the other one I use for the same thing. So specialized readings are kind of more where this deck tends to go. As far as what I use it for and all of that goodness. Okay, so ooh, there's a spirit that's coming through right now. See what I mean? When I pull out the Miss Cleo, the spirits want to be talking right now. Spirits want to be talking. So this is my chakra deck. I love it. Look at the backs of this deck. It's gorgeous. It's not everybody's thing. I know that. We all have our different tastes. You know what I mean? Like if you like a deck and other people don't like it, don't be afraid to like showcase it, because at the end of the day, like who wants everybody to be exactly the same, right? It will be boring if everybody connected to the same types of decks, you know? So that's how I look at things. I have my own way of reading this deck. I do not use her guidebook. I had her Chakra Oracle and I did not resonate with it at all. So I use this deck in my own way, okay? This deck, I use it for my chakra readings, energetic readings, past lives, all that beautiful stuff. I have my own assigned meanings to these cards and things like that. Kind of use it more as an oracle. I don't try to do the traditional book. You know, I'm going to do a video about that. Academic versus actual psychic readings. There is a difference. So, yeah. So, like I said, I love this deck very much. I get really great readings with it. You can go to my website and see the reviews that my clients give me. See, the glossy decks are the ones that are hard to show because it's just there's a light going through it. It is what it is. So yeah, this is the Chakra Tarot. Love, 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 love this deck. And it's one that I said I only use for certain types of readings. The rest of the deck, with the exception of these two, I use for all types of readings, for all my readings. But these are on a need to use or feel called to use type of situation. This could be considered an OG deck. Crazy thing is, and this could happen to people sometimes, it was a deck that I got. These are the backs of them. This is your Tarot of Illuminati or Illuminati Tarot. One of the two. This is a deck that I did not like it when I first got it. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I could read with it, but it ain't my thing. People are like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. I was like, And I think it was the cardstock. It was very like cardboard boxy. The gilding was like, it wasn't a good type of gilding. So I ended up rehoming it. Ended up one day just like being drawn to buy it. It went up in price. Bought it. And I don't know if it's because the cardstock changed or whatever the case may be. This deck just spoke sung. After years of having it and rehoming it, ended up repurchasing it. And the second time was the charm, because it spoke to me. It is definitely a deck that I've used a lot in 2020, like a lot in 2020 for my professional readings, and I completely love it. I'm wanting to have more like racial diversity and just diversity overall in my decks, but I tend to love more traditional decks. I am not crazy about modern decks, with a few exceptions. I like things to stay as close to RWS as possible. So this gives me the best of both worlds, because it has that traditional symbology. It is from more ancient times looking, which I don't know. I love those ancient royalty, castles, kings, queens type of situation going. But it's racially diverse, and I love that. Now, is it age diverse? No. Does it have body diversity? No, unfortunately. I'm waiting for someone to create a deck like that. If not, I'm gonna create it myself. But it is definitely a good one. I love it. I don't like the second one they made. I forgot the name of it. People have recommended to me. That deck doesn't speak to me, but this one does. I completely love it. I've learned to appreciate this art style. Now I think it's beautiful. Again, this is not everybody's art style. It might seem really busy and all of these things, and I can respect those opinions. I definitely can respect those opinions that this deck is a little bit on the busy side and things like that. So, but it is a beautiful deck. This is one of my favorite cards right here. She just looks to me like Oshun, like the embodiment of Oshun. But yeah, it's important to have, kings and queens that look like different cultural backgrounds, not just one regular background, because there were and there is African royalty in the Middle East. There was Egypt, there was Africa, there was not just European dynasty, but there are kings and queens throughout the world, and ancient cultures in Asia and things like that. So it's not just a Western or a European aesthetic. There was royalty in other parts of the world, and I love that this deck kind of highlights that. So yeah, so it's a beautiful reader. I love it. Now we're getting into my newer purchases that have recently become working decks for me. This one is outside of what I'm usually attracted to, if that makes sense, where I'm like, oh, I'm not into modern decks. This is the beautiful backs, okay? However, this deck right out of the box, I saw it in someone's channel that I follow. I cannot think of the person's name right now. She was doing a walkthrough of it, and I was like, what is that? I commented. I was like, I need to get this deck. So I ended up getting it, taking it out of the box, and loving it. So True Heart Intuitive Tarot, yes, baby. I love, absolutely love this deck. Okay, it just speaks. Okay, it speaks. And even though it has a modern take, This is what I wanted, because when I bought the Modern Witch Tarot, I didn't connect with it. And a lot of people were like, oh, this is a great deck or whatever. I just did not connect with it. Like it had enough traditional symbology. It's great. But I think the thing that for me, I like thin cardstock. I like decks that I could rifle shuffle because I read professionally. I do time sessions, okay? I'm doing readings, you know, like everybody has a regular work day. So they work their 9 to 5s, whatever. You know, I have a regular work day and I'm reading nonstop for hours on end. I'm trying to give out these messages and things like that, you know. And, you know, time is money. Let's be real. You know, clients are not looking for me to sit here and go on and shuffle really slow. Like they want these answers. They want their time that they paid for. You know, they need that guidance. So I like to use decks that are thinner in the cardstock that I could rifle shuffle and just get right into the reading, you know. And I love mass produced decks because if they get damaged, they're so easily replaceable, okay? And this deck is so racially diverse. I mean, look at this beautiful queen right now. I mean, her afro. It just reminds me of my oldest daughter's afro and my mother's afro. Just beautiful black women. It's beautiful. I love seeing black women portrayed with their beautiful, 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 beautiful hair. Just, it's just gorgeous. Just, oh, I love it, okay? So, you know, it's a beautiful thing. It's a sign of strength because, you know, society tells black women that their hair is not good enough. You know what I mean? Straighten your hair. And that's fine if you straighten it. That's fine if you wear a weave. That's fine if you wear a wig. You know what I mean? I believe in protective hairstyles. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, I'm not going to speak on that because I have a completely different type of hair. So I'm not going to talk about an experience that I don't have. All I'm saying is that it's also beautiful when people celebrate their natural locks. And I love that, you know, I really love that. Every time I see a beautiful black woman with braids or, you know, a protective hairstyle or wearing their natural hair. However, I'm always telling them how beautiful their hair is because, you know, we don't give enough of these queens their love, okay? We just don't. And you know, I'm always here for uplifting my black sisters, okay? So I love the racial diversity, just everything about this deck. You know, a beautiful black woman made this deck. It's diverse, it's modern, it's traditional enough. The cardstock is thinner. So unlike the Modern Witch Tarot, which I didn't get to bond with, this one I did. I did, and I'm happy because it makes me feel like I can possibly start adding more modern decks into my working deck. So yeah, so I love it. So thank you, True, for making this deck because sis is here for it every day, all day. Okay, love it, love it, love it. So this is a working deck. Been working with it like I got it during the fall time and have not stopped working with this deck. Okay, if I'm not using it for clients, I'm reading myself with it. Like I just don't want to be putting it away. This is Tarot de Now. It's one of my newest decks, okay? One of my newest decks, but I connected with it instantly. Instantly. Okay? I love it. At first I was like, they're so little, the people. But then I started reading with it. I don't like that it chips very easily because I haven't had this deck for a long time, so it's not durable. If chipping bothers you and a deck looking kind of worn bothers you, this may not be the deck for you because if you're going to heavily use it and shuffle with it and all that, you're going to have to kind of guard your shuffle. Okay, I don't care, whatever. I just replace decks when they're just not shuffleable anymore and when they're like really messed up looking, okay? Like when people are missing chunks of their faces off or something. I love this Six of Swords because it kind of resonates with the way I see the Six of Swords. A lot of people see it as negative. I actually see it moving from a dark past into a more positive future. Logically, like kind of getting over your past and moving forward, right? So I love it. I love this Four of Swords with the mummy. Definitely gives me that vibe of rest. Okay, so just I love it. Look at this beautiful Ten of Cups with all the different all the different skin tones and everything. Like it's cute. It's cute. I love it. This deck, since I've gotten it, has read so well for me. I've done tons of client readings with it and definitely put it right into my work rotation, which is something I rarely do because I'll work with a deck for a long, long time before I put it in my rotation. But I love it. I love it. And I love that it's melanated people in this deck, you know, because I'm trying to add more diversity and melanated decks into my practice. This kind of feeds my traditional tarot aesthetics in ancient time setting with brown people, okay? Look, she has hearts right there, giving her heart offerings there. Love it. It has a darker tone to it in the energy. I love this deck. Like I do just beautiful general readings with this deck, and I love it. These are the backs, and this is made by the Bridge, so Siren Imports, okay, and it's called Tarot of the Nile. Okay, this deck, we're almost done, guys. We're almost done. This deck is the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot. And oh my gosh, I love it. I do watch other people doing readings on YouTube, and I kept seeing this deck pop up, but I'm like, what deck is this? Because I've never seen it in a collection video. So I went crazy looking on Amazon, and I finally found a picture of the backs. I'm like, that's the name of the deck, because nobody ever said what's the name of the freaking deck. So I'm so happy. I love this deck. Look at the Queen of Swords. I love her. I love the golden, like, it's so beautiful. It's just, oh, I love this deck. It just makes me feel fancy when I read it. I love that the number, like, it's the how I see the element of water, so the cups. I love that each of these suits has a different color. I mean, cups. Oh, I'm so silly. Purplish color for the swords. Pay attention, T. Pay attention. So I love that the borders all resonate with the elements. I feel like this one is, even though it has no titles, you know what card, you know this is the Two of Swords, and things like that. I kind of like, and I know I'm weird for this, I've never been bothered by the multi-language titles, because not everybody speaks English, and I don't see anything wrong with that. So no, a lot of people don't like it. Now that's why I've actually stopped buying Los Caribou decks, because if a deck strays too much away from RWS and they only have numbers and I don't know what suit it is, because you can't really tell clearly what it is, I tend to not like decks like that. So no titles in a deck is a deal breaker for me, depending on the case. This one is so close to RWS, like, you know what it is, you know. So see, like, it has more of a brown tone, like, it's beautiful. And I like the close-up view, like you can actually see like the expressions of everyone's faces when you're reading with it. Look at that gorgeous Ace of Pentacles. It's a beautiful deck. If Pamela Coleman Smith is in your particular art style and you're wanting to get a more traditional RWS, I do highly recommend this one. I never liked Tarot Mucha. That just wasn't my thing. I feel like this one is kind of like that type of art style, but more of it. This one speaks to me more. This is one that I was more drawn to getting, if that makes sense. So completely love it. Look at this beautiful Eight of Cups. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's fancy. Like, I read with this deck and I just love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Look at just Creator's hand. This right here is, I tell people all the time, I'm Catholic by tradition, but I'm voodoo by religion. This reminds me of when I go to Mass and I take communion, you know, the white dove, the Holy Spirit. You know, you're receiving your Eucharist and everything, you're doing your communion. I love it. So yeah. And then look at this death card. Like, look at the Pope. He's like, please don't kill me. I love RWS's death card, and I love the view of this one, because death doesn't care if you're a man of the cloth, if you're a high society lady, because look, there's a king and authority, so he doesn't care if you're royalty, he doesn't care if you're a religious leader, he doesn't even care if you're a mom and a child. Like, death comes for all of us. All of us have a time that we're going to expire, right, and go into another life. So, and a lot of people fear death. So it's just showing you, like, as human beings, we can all connect to that energy. Like, all of us will one day transition, right? So it doesn't matter what age, what race, we'll all have an expiration date. So I love that card. It like really hits home. It really brings out that meaning. That is definitely a working deck. Have not stopped working with it since I've gotten it. This is a newer one, okay? Haven't done as much readings, but it's definitely going to be a deck that I'm going to be working with for 2021 and is on my top because I have read with it and it is gorgeous. And it will be a deck that I will do client readings with. This is an indie deck. I got it from Tarot Collectibles. So, the price is reasonable. I love this Queen of Wands. Just her hair. I love the colors of this. Look at the back. This to me feels like spring, so that's why I bought it for. And it has some diversity in it, so I love that. And it also has this like 60s, hippie, it's called the Tripping Weight, and I'm here for the tripping weight. Okay, I am here for the tripping weight. Look at this. Like this deck just makes me happy. Like look at the like genie, okay? Look at the genie in the Nine of Cups. That's great because it's the wish card. And traditionally meaning is the wish card. So come on now. I love this Two of Cups. Make love, not war. Okay. Because to me, both of these energies feel non-binary to me. So this can easily be a male, female, non-binary person. Okay. So to me, I love that in my opinion, because the hair and, you're not seeing like big boobs and all that. And that's why the RWS, I love it because to me, the queen can be a man or a woman or non-binary. They're not like overly sexual. You don't see big boobs and cleavages that you're kind of like, okay, that's really gender specific. So, I love the Two of Cups. I have my own way of reading the Two of Cups. So, and then we have the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups. Look how gorgeous the purples. I love that it has two doves. I love the peace sign of it. Oh, just gorgeousness. And look at this world card again. Beautiful afro, beautiful melanated queen. I love the colors on the earth, the rainbows. This is gorgeous, guys. I love this deck so much. Again, it's the tripping weight. This devil card speaks of volumes. This, we at around the time from the 60s to the 70s, we were in Vietnam and a lot of horrific things happened. A lot of just racial tensions and it was just not good. It was a very unpopular war and things like that. And this devil card just really speaks to me. It is so accurate. They had a different devil card. I chose this one because this really is, you see the bombing here. You see both individuals of different cultures chained down and all these things. And then you see him making the peace sign, kind of mocking peace. You know what I mean? Like instigating on both sides. Nobody wants to go to war. So many lives are lost and all these things. So, it's very deep. War is a very dark thing. There's just so many sides to it. I love this Justice card. I love that she's Asian. You rarely ever see Asian individuals in tarot. That's one of the reasons why I love Tarot Illuminati. So I just love it. She's beautiful. Her dress, beautiful rainbows in the background. She's like in the sky, so very air element. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Look at this strength card, guys. She's beautiful. Again, like I said, racial diversity. She doesn't really look like she's hurting the lion and things like that. Love the beautiful sun in the background. I just love this deck. Like it makes me happy. Look at this angel with the peace sign on it. Seriously. And the body paint and free love and just doing your thing. And I just love the energy of the Lovers card in this deck. And then look at the Hierophant, guys. A spiritual guru. Like, I love him and his dreads. And he's just looking cool. Like, yes. It is the best ever. And then look at this High Priestess with the eye. She has the eye. Like in my culture, we say, oh, that person has the eye. I love all her colors. Look at the beautiful water in the background. The rainbow is her throne. I mean, this is just beautiful. Like, I love it. So I'm here for it. So, and this is, again, the backs. And this is your tripping weight. It is a working deck now that I'm going to be using in my practice. So these are my top 11 decks. of 2020. Please, guys, if you want to make a VR, if you haven't done your top 10, I'm going to be looking out for those. I look for those every year. At this time of the year, I love tarot collection videos and your tops of whatever it was for the year of 2020. So much love, much light, much blessings. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will be making a part 2 of my top oracle decks. Might not be as many as my tarot because I'm gonna be honest, I use oracle less than tarot. Okay, so these are my top 11. Much love, much light, much blessing. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. And if you want to book a one-on-one reading with me, shamanic@arawakpriestess.com, shamanic@arawakpriestess.com. Psychic readings, specialized readings, and all types of spiritual healings. And I do root work as well. Much love, much light, much blessings. Bye, guys.